We are learning more about a well-known Lexington cardiologist who was hit and killed while he was riding his bicycle.
Lexington police are investigating a bank robbery and the possibility that robber went to another bank before coming to this one.
As you can see on the front of today's Kentucky Colonel, yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of the death of Jonathan Kruger, how his classmates came together as a memorial.
This is WKYT News at Noon.
Good afternoon from WKYT News. I'm Barbara Bailey.
I'm Bill Bryant. Here's what's happening at noon today. A man killed in a central Kentucky crash involving a bicycle has been identified as a well-known cardiologist.
The Bourbon County coroner says Dr. David Cassidy was hit by an SUV while riding his bike on Lexington Road in Paris. WKYT's Mark Barber has reaction now to his death. It's our top story at noon.
Dr. David Cassidy's devastated employees tell me he worked as a physician in the Army back in the 1980s. Most recently, the 62-year-old worked as a cardiologist at St. Joseph Hospital. He opened his own private practice on Harrodsburg Road in 2014. The Cardiologist Associates of Kentucky are now taking Cassidy's patients. His employees tell WKYT that most of his patients live in eastern Kentucky. The 62-year-old was riding his bicycle on Lexington Road in Bourbon County yesterday afternoon when a car crashed into him. State police say the driver who hit Cassidy did not see him. We're told the woman had just passed a car and she was turning back into her lane when she crashed into Cassidy. The deadly wreck shut down the southbound lanes of the road near Bedford Acres Christian Church for hours.
It's definitely a tragedy, and we're definitely sorry it happens. I know that people in our congregation, as soon as we learned about this from your website, we've been praying. I spent last night praying, and I know several people in our church were, and we just want to know, let the family know we're really sorry that this happened, and that our church is here for anybody who may need some counseling.
When state police finish their investigation, they will take their findings to the Commonwealth's attorney, who will then decide if the driver will be charged. In Bourbon County, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. And Millward Funeral Directors in Lexington will decide when Cassidy will be buried after they talk with his family later today.
The University of Kentucky is honoring one of its own at this noon hour. The UK School of Journalism is holding a memorial for former student Jonathan Kruger, who was shot and killed on a Lexington street a year ago. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is on the UK campus with more on how he's being remembered. Michelle?
Today, University of Kentucky Journalism and Media School is holding a memorial to honor Jonathan Kruger, the photojournalist who died 1 year ago yesterday. The memorial is in progress right now at the school. Yesterday marked the one-year death of Kruger, who was shot and killed last April as he was walking near UK campus with a friend. Kruger was a standout photojournalist and photo editor for the Kentucky Colonel, the student newspaper. The 22-year-old had just returned to Lexington after covering the Final Four last year when he was gunned down near campus. That Final Four, he worked with fellow classmate, friend, and coworker Michael Reeves. Reeves is the recipient of the inaugural Jonathan Kruger Memorial Scholarship.
The scholarship will live through the ones after me 5, 10 years down the road, 30 years down the road when no one in this office remembers who he is. That scholarship and spirit will be passed down from me. His spirit will be passed down from me to the next person, all the way down 30 years.
Here's today's Kentucky Colonel. On the front it reads, Jonathan Kruger's death last April leaves family, friends still missing his contagious smile and positive attitude. The goal of today's memorial is to honor and look back at the life of the 22-year-old on this cover. On UK's campus, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Michelle, thank you. And the trial in the high-profile murder case will start early next year. Two of the suspects, Efrain Diaz and Justin Smith, are eligible for the death penalty. And the third suspect, Roman Gonzalez, could face life in prison because he was a juvenile at the time of the shooting.
Well, the search is on for a man who robbed a Lexington bank. It happened at the Fifth Third Bank on Bryan Station Road just before 9:30 this morning. Police are now trying to figure out if it's connected to an attempted robbery on Richmond Road about 30 minutes before. WKYT's Victor Puende has the latest on the investigation in this Crime Tracker report. Victor.
Lexington police are searching for this robber and the vehicle he was last seen in. They say it's possible he went to another bank before he came to this one. Police say the robber came into the Fifth Third Bank on Bryan Station Road at 9:39 this morning. They say he first went to a customer and tried to pull a deposit bag from that man's hand. Then the robber jumped the counter and demanded money from a teller. He got some cash and ran to the parking lot where he got into a green SUV. Police say he then drove toward Old Paris Pike, and they're searching for that vehicle. Witnesses told police he never showed a weapon, but implied he had one. They say he was wearing a hoodie, dark jeans, and his face was covered. They say that customer pulled that deposit bag back when the robber tried to take it from him.
He attempted to. He didn't. He wasn't successful in taking the bank bag, but then after he was unsuccessful in taking the customer's money, he jumped the counter and committed a theft of cash from the bank.
This wasn't the first call to a bank Lexington police had this morning. About half an hour before this robbery, a man tried to get into the People's Exchange Bank on Richmond Road. They say he was wearing a mask and tried to open the door, but it was locked. Witnesses say he pulled on that door so hard he broke the handle. Police say they're investigating to see if there's a connection. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Victor, thank you. And police say the green SUV the robber left in may have a handicap sticker in the vehicle. The number of babies born dependent on drugs in Kentucky continues to rise. In 2014, 1,400 babies were born addicted to drugs. The year before, it was 1,000. Manchester Memorial Hospital officials say 4 years ago they were having to transfer out about 25% of the babies born there due to drug dependency. But they've gotten that percentage down by putting the mothers on the treatment drug Subutex, similar to Suboxone.
I would say since we've started the Subutex program, we've seen about the same number of substance abuse mothers, but we've seen a lot less withdrawal symptoms in the babies.
Now tonight on WKYT News at 6, a University of Kentucky NICU doctor weighs in on treatment drugs for pregnant women.
Well, our string of very nice days continues as we start the work week with sunny skies and temperatures climbing into the 80s today. So when will we get some rain back at the forecast? WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live in our First Alert Weather Center.
Such a good looking day. A lot of sunshine again. Temperatures will actually make it to the low to mid 80s later on this afternoon. Then we head off into the evening. This patio weather right there. You want to grill out. You want to eat the dinner out on the patio. And you know what? We do it all over again tomorrow. The focus of the forecast is how warm these temperatures are now, obviously, but later on, the thunderstorms that will develop later on in the work week. I'm going to show you when you can actually expect some rain and when we drop those temperatures back down coming up.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you. If you want to vote in Kentucky's primary, which is next month on the 17th, today is the last day to register. Kentuckians can now register and update their registrations online at govoteky.com. County clerk's offices will be accepting online applications until midnight. They will also accept paper voter registrations in person until the close of business today. Mail-in voter registration applications must be postmarked by today. And today is the deadline for millions of Americans to file their tax returns. Most people got 3 extra days to file due to the Emancipation Day holiday in Washington, D.C. And people in Massachusetts and Maine have until tomorrow to file because of the Patriots' Day holiday in both of those states. Lots of companies offering up some deals for tax day today. You can stop by the Great American Cookie locations for a free sugar cookie, and Sonic Drive-In offering 50% off of cheeseburgers. Just to kind of make it a little easier on you.
A little sweeter, yeah, that's right. A little treat.
Well, there were thousands of disappointed comedy fans over in Louisville over the weekend.
Cat Williams was scheduled to perform at the KFC Yum Center Saturday night as part of his Conspiracy Theory tour. But he unexpectedly canceled. No reason was given, but several social media outlets are reporting that he was seen at a barbecue place in St. Louis. Several pictures posted online claim Williams did show up in Louisville yesterday where he was seen doing charity work. Refunds are available to anyone who bought tickets.
Some kind of crossed wires there, it sounds like. Well, arguments are underway at the U.S. Supreme Court in a case that could radically change the way the U.S. enforces its immigration laws.
We'll have the latest coming up on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, Kentucky native George Clooney is on the defensive today over his role in helping Hillary Clinton raise millions of dollars for her presidential campaign. Find out what he had to say about the Hollywood fundraiser. Coming up on WKYT.
Kentucky hospitals are intentionally getting unborn babies hooked on a narcotic. While that may sound bad, it's actually being seen as a success, considering the alternative, babies and drug withdrawal. Tonight at 6 on WKYT.
When severe storms roll in, we go to work to keep you and your family safe with continuous coverage on air, on WKYT.com, and wherever you are with our news and weather apps. First Alert Severe Weather Days, only on WKYT.
I'm attorney Darryl Isaacs, the Hammer. I've seen too many times the devastation that big trucks like these can cause a family, an income, and a life. Truck wrecks cause big injuries and bring out the insurance company's big bullies. I don't get bullied, I'm on top of them. I've got over 23 years experience knocking bullies down to size. If you've been hurt by a big truck accident, call me. I'll work hard to get you every dollar you deserve.
Hurt in a truck wreck? Get the Hammer.
At Frankfort Toyota, we have new 2016 Camrys, up to $3,900 off MSRP or 0% financing for 60 months. New 2016 Corollas and RAV4s, up to $2,200 off MSRP or 0% financing for 60 months. And we'll double your no-cost maintenance to 4 years or 50,000 miles.
Frankfort Toyota, Google rated 4.9 out of 5 stars.
Frankfort Toyota, and online at frankforttoyota.com.
If you've been injured in an automobile accident and have legal questions, visit forthepeople.com to get answers to your questions. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Well, I hope we have a buyer for the house.
Me too. What are the neighbors doing here?
Bill! Hey! Come in! I didn't know your home Wi-Fi could stream so many devices at the same time.
Dad, it's Time Warner Cable Internet. Crazy fast.
Dad, you can get Wi-Fi all over this place.
Cool.
Make your home as connected as possible. Get internet with unlimited data starting at $14.99 per month and ask about free installation. Call 1-855-1TWC.
Kentucky's 40th Annual Shriners Hillbilly Days Festival, April 22nd through 24th in Pikeville, Kentucky. 3 live stages of music, carnival rides, 300 vendors, a car show on Saturday, and the Shriners Parade on Sunday. The 40th Annual Hillbilly Days Festival, April 22nd through 24th in Pikeville, Kentucky.
Weimar Electric, proven electrical contractors now making house calls.
Welcome back to WKYT News at Noon. Supreme Court justices are hearing arguments today about the president's executive action on immigration.
That program would keep millions of undocumented immigrants with U.S. citizenship from being deported. But as Paula Reed reports now, more than 24 states have sued to stop it from being put in place.
Immigration rights activists marched and chanted outside the Supreme Court Monday morning.
We are America!
They're here to show support for President Obama's executive order, which would shield millions of undocumented immigrants with American-born children from deportation.
The president's executive action would really just be life-changing for us.
Zaira Garcia helped organize some of today's protests. The U.S. citizen says she lives in fear. Her parents could be deported at any moment.
It never leaves your mind. It's always plaguing you. And so the moment that I heard the president say this and stand up for my dad, for my mom, it was so transforming.
The state of Texas is leading the charge against the president's executive action on immigration, arguing that he overstepped his legal authority.
I think the only role that our government has is to secure our borders, you know, and to uphold the law that's already on the books.
The states also argue they will have to spend money issuing driver's licenses and providing other benefits to undocumented immigrants if the court upholds the president's actions. Paula Reed, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
And with Justice Antonin Scalia's death, there is a possibility that the court's decision could end in a 4-4 tie. If that happens, the lower court's ruling would be left in place, virtually guaranteeing the programs will not go into place before President Obama leaves office. Well, the 2016 presidential contenders are making a final push for votes today ahead of tomorrow's crucial New York primary. A win would push GOP frontrunner Donald Trump even closer to clinching the Republican nomination over his rivals Texas Senator Ted Cruz and Ohio Governor John Kasich. And on the Democratic side, polls are showing Hillary Clinton maintaining a 10-point lead over rival Bernie Sanders in the Empire State. Well, Kentucky native George Clooney is defending a big fundraiser that he held with Hillary Clinton over this weekend.
Clooney and his wife Amal hosted the star-studded event in Los Angeles, where the tickets cost more than $33,000 a person. The actor says the amount of money raised there was, quote, obscene. But he said most of it is not for Clinton, it's for Democratic House and Senate candidates. Some Bernie Sanders supporters showered Clinton's motorcade with $1 bills as she drove to the fundraiser. In response, Sanders says Clooney is, quote, backing the wrong horse. Kentucky native Johnny Depp and his wife have issued an apology for bringing 2 dogs into Australia illegally last year. Amber Heard pleaded guilty to knowingly producing a false or misleading document, while 2 other charges of illegally importing the 2 Yorkshire Terriers were dismissed. In a video played in court, Depp and Heard say how truly sorry they are for not declaring the dogs while he was there filming the latest Pirates of the Caribbean movie. The court magistrate gave Heard a 1-month good behavior bond sentence, and the incident will not go on record.
Coming up at 12:30, we will have the latest on the charges against a Lexington man accused of torturing a small dog, resulting in its death.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on Mix 94.5.
Listen, guys, if you go to Helzberg and spend the same amount of money, your girl will be wearing much smaller diamonds.
Helzberg's 3-carat bridal sets are $8.99. The Castle's half-carat bridal sets are the same price.
Nobody makes I Do as big and affordable as we do.
Folks have been taking the short drive to satisfaction for over 20 years. Not only Winchester folks, but folks all across the state and even across the country. And who wouldn't come here? With over 2,500 vehicles to choose from here in Winchester, Kentucky. No matter if it's 100 miles or the short drive from Lexington, our staff will help you start your journey. Tim Short Chevrolet.
Look, the wolf was huffing and puffing.
Like you do sometimes, Grandpa?
Well, when you have COPD, it can be hard to breathe. It can be hard to get air out, which can make it hard to get air in. So I talked to my doctor. She said,
Symbicort could help you breathe better, starting within 5 minutes. Symbicort doesn't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden symptoms. Symbicort helps provide significant improvement of your lung function. Symbicort is for COPD, including chronic bronchitis and emphysema. It should not be taken more than twice a day. Symbicort contains formoterol. Medicines like formoterol increase the risk of death from asthma problems. Symbicort may increase your risk of lung infections, osteoporosis, and some eye problems. You should tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it.
Symbicort could mean a day with better breathing. Watch out, piggies!
Symbicort. Breathe better, starting within 5 minutes. Call or go online to learn more about a free trial offer. If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
I'm attorney Daryl Isaacs, the Hammer, and if you've been injured in a car wreck, I can help.
You say it's not going to happen to you, but right after my accident, the insurance company stalled on fixing my truck. I'm going to call Daryl Isaacs.
David was in a serious car wreck that required back surgery. Daryl Isaacs got him $1,400,000.
I'm tired of dealing with the insurance company. I'm going to call Daryl Isaacs. He's diligent and he makes it easy for me.
I won't back down until I get you every dollar you deserve. It's what I've been doing for almost 23 years. Car wreck? Think big. Get the Hammer, attorney Daryl Isaacs.
The Castle, twice the jewelry.
Half the price.
Jared's half-carat best friend True Love rings are $9.99. At the Castle, get the same quality, same carat weight rings for only $5.95. Shop 10 Castle locations or thecastlejewelry.com.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you. WKYT. Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
We're already close to 80 degrees in some locations, finishing off in the 40s and 50s this morning, so we're jumping very quickly, very rapidly. We may even be 35-degree swing from morning to afternoon, and that's a big jump, especially around here. We're at 77 degrees there in Jackson. Beautiful shot there in Breathitt County. Just kind of overlooked that valley. 78 in Frankfort, almost at 80 degrees. Lexington, a lot of sunny skies. The good news here the rest of the afternoon is we're just going to continue to rise. I mean, this is like, once you get off toward 4 or 5 p.m., you're talking about lake weather. You're talking about mid-80s in the forecast. It's not all that bad. Then we head toward tomorrow, and you know what? We do it all over again. Today and tomorrow, they're twin days. Same look, same feel. I just don't see much changing. Maybe a few more clouds tomorrow, but that's about it. So we still don't have a rain chance. Then we had Wednesday. only a small chance of rain on Wednesday, so I still believe most of us will stay dry all the way through Wednesday, but then we travel off toward Thursday and Friday. Now, Thursday, it's about a 40% chance of rain. On Friday, it's more of your 60% chance, as you'll have the better opportunity once we close out the work week. The beginning of the work week will look totally different than the closing out of that. And not only that, but with the cloud cover around, with the chances of rain, it's actually going to drop our temperatures back down to the 70s, which is okay. I mean, we're dropping it back down to the 70s, not rising it to the 70s, but dropping it back down. I mean, when's the last time I was able to say that? That was last year, to be exact. Then we're going to go travel off into your Friday and into your weekend. Friday's the rain chance, weekend not so much. Check out these pictures. Micah Harris, WKYT. You can find me on Facebook. I always show these pictures off morning time and mid-morning and also noontime. This is Tim Lewis from Eubank, Kentucky. Really good looking shot over the weekend. This is an awesome shot right here. Richie Barnes always sends me some good pictures over the weekend. And that's from Fabish, Kentucky, down in southern Kentucky. Awesome shots. I've got plenty more. I've showed some off this morning on Twitter too. And you can follow me on Micah Harris WX on Twitter. And I'll show your pictures off. Just send them on in. Here's your 7-day forecast. Let's go through it real quick. We're at 83 degrees today, 82 for tomorrow. Both today and tomorrow not reaching records. Remember, record is at 87 today, but still extremely warm air when typically, guys, we're at 67 degrees during the afternoon hours. We're nowhere near that. Then we hit Wednesday, only a small rain chance. If you're trying to plan for Thursday and Friday, just know Friday's your better chance of rain as opposed to Thursday. Still, both of those days, pretty decent shots, 40 to 60%. And then you can see Saturday, Sunday, things kind of work on out. We'll get a dry weather there for the weekend and drop it back down to the 70s there for the weekend. And 70s, sunny skies, it's perfect there for the weekend. It looks really good.
All
Much
right.
cooler than this past weekend.
I was going to say,
81 degrees yesterday.
Nice out there right now.
Yeah,
the
really
temperature
is.
climbing. All right, thank you, Micah. We'll be back on WKYT News in just a moment. Spring practice is over. The Cats have a quarterback.
And one of the country's top 3-year-olds won't be on the track at Churchill Downs. Dave Baker's next with sports.
And checking stocks as we head into afternoon trading. The major market indicators are up, and the Dow pushing close to the 18,000 mark.
They're going to kill us. All of us.
I will save the Earth. I'm ready to fly. I just don't know if I'll make it out alive.
Tell your parents I said hello.
Tell them yourself.
His power
Breaking news: a string of crimes linked to a new drug called NZT.
will belong to everyone.
What happens now?
Chaos. New Limitless, Tuesday.
What started with the drop of a coin continues with dedication and hard work. At People's Exchange Bank, we offer essential business tools and services to help you start, run, and grow your business. Putting our trust and money in People's Exchange Bank for years. All our money.
Man, your game's really off.
Man, my car got sideswiped and my shoulder's killing me.
What have you done about it?
Well, I made a doctor's appointment. My car's in the shop.
I mean about your legal rights.
Well, I just assumed that...
Don't assume. You need to call Legal Options and speak to one of their experts.
Legal Options?
And you need to do it right now.
Remember, you've got options. Call Legal Options at 1-800-777-7774 now.
Come on, hon, let's go.
I don't mean right now. I'm blowing at 250.
What's behind your Murphy door? A game room, office, playroom, or valuables. The Murphy door holds up to 300 pounds and is completely functional even when the shelves are full. All Murphy doors feature a patented hinge or roller system that's backed by a lifetime warranty, providing you functional space and peace of mind for years to come. Build your Murphy door online today or visit our new showroom in Lexington, now located on Fortune Drive. Visit themurphydoor.com. Use promo code LEX5 to receive 5% off.
My car ended up here because someone was in a hurry and ran a red light.
Someone was texting and driving, and their negligence brought me here.
I need a strong attorney, someone who knows how to win.
Some insurance companies don't want to pay you what you deserve. Your car gets crushed, and so do you.
I want someone working hard on my case, and I want it fast. I'm calling Daryl Isaacs.
Don't let the insurance companies crush you. I'm attorney Daryl Isaacs, the Hammer. I've been helping injured Kentuckians for over 23 years against the insurance companies. Car wreck? Think big. Get the Hammer.
Hey, America! I'm getting fired up for Golden Corral's new Fired Up Favorites. They're launching flavor to a whole new level. I'm heading there now! It's endless baby back ribs, wings, and tenders in bold new flavors like mango habaneros, sriracha, garlic parmesan, and classic buffalo. All for one low price. Rough flight, great landing. Fired up favorites only at Golden Corral, the best buffet in the USA.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you, like WKYT on Facebook.
She was so good that many racing experts had said she could take on the boys in the Kentucky Derby. But as those of us here in the Bluegrass know, you've not only got to have talent, but luck. And now bad luck will keep the great Songbird in her stable the weekend of the Kentucky Derby in Oaks. Owner Rick Porter announced the news last night on Facebook, saying the 2-year-old filly champ had not recovered from a fever, and now that fever was being treated with antibiotics. What that means is that she wouldn't be able to return to the track for another 7 to 10 days, and that would be too late to start training for the Oaks or the Derby. After that fever's cleared up, a return to the track shouldn't be an issue. Songbird would have been a heavy favorite in the Kentucky Oaks. She is unbeaten in 7 career starts. Well, Mark Stoops has been a coach that since coming to Kentucky has played things pretty close to the vest. But after Saturday's blue-white game, he was emphatic that Drew Barker is the starting quarterback. In Saturday's spring game, Barker played just one half. He completed 12 of his 18 passes for 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Stoops said backup quarterback Steven Johnson had pushed Barker all spring, but it just wasn't enough.
The last week of spring, as I mentioned, I feel like Drew was starting to pull away, and really, and that's the nice thing to see about Drew is I thought he was very, very consistent this spring and really this whole off season.
I feel like I've been a lot more comfortable in the pocket due to Coach Henshaw, the footwork drills and everything, and everything that he's taught us. So I feel like that's been a big, I guess, improvement for me. Last year, I guess, and also the game has kind of slowed down a little bit. I think the experience I got, the little bit of experience I got last year, kind of helped me, is going to help me in the future.
Speaking of the spring game, tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, former Wildcats Freddie Maggard and Jeremy Jarman recap Kentucky spring football workouts. That's at 6 on 630 WLAP. Guys, that's a look at sports on this Monday.
All right. Rest that voice a little bit, Dave. We appreciate it. Keep it here on WKYT News. There's a lot more coming up in our next half hour.
Heightened security as thousands of people hit the ground running at the Boston Marathon.
Coming up at 12:30, we'll have the latest on the investigation into a crash that killed a well-known doctor who was riding his bicycle.
Tuesday night's Mega Millions jackpot is $89 million, and Wednesday night's Powerball jackpot is $227 million.